ISPO Power for giving us the opportunity to get together. One of the great things, one of the benefits I get as being on the executive board with ISPO is I get to interact with someone like John Kemp, who I have with me right now. And John, we're just going to begin with a short uh, introduction. Hopefully it embarrasses you a little bit, but you've accomplished so much. But John Kemp is the president and CEO of the Lakeshore Foundation, which is a great foundation for an advocate for people with needs and people with disabilities. He's an accomplished executive. He has decades of experience in the disability movement as a disabled leader himself. His previous leadership roles have included serving as the National Executive Director of United Cerebral Palsy Association, President and CEO of VSA Arts and VSA Arts International, as well as General Counsel and Vice President for Development of the National Easter Seal Society, among others. In 1995, he co-founded the American Association of People with Disabilities. He's served as the president and CEO of the Viscardi Center and Henry Viscardi School, excuse me. John is a recipient of the Henry Betts Award, widely regarded as America's highest honor for disability leadership. I actually knew Dr. Betts when I worked at Northwestern as a teacher. Yeah. And the Dole Leadership Prize from the Robert J. Dole Institute of Politics at the University of Kansas. And so we're so honored to have you here with us today, Mr. Kemp. And yeah, is there anything I left out of your biography? You've accomplished so much.
I'm married to the most fabulous person in the world named
Hey, that's good to mention, right? Yeah.
Samita, named after relatives Samuel and Etta, and their parents merged their names into Samita, so she goes by Sam, but
Ah, how nice is
fabulous,
that?
and we're coming up
Yeah.
on almost 25 years here, so
Oh, congratulations. That's so
great.
wonderful.
But
That's a
thank you for the
true,
kind
true
introduction.
testament that you make sure that you introduce your wife. That's awesome.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and I go by John, so Jerry,
Oh, okay, John.
okay.
And Jerry's fine, yeah. So, but you have a book that just came out, Disability Friendly: How to Move from Clueless to Inclusive, which is so interesting. And I know that this whole podcast, we're supposed to talk about development of personnel, and that book right there just sounds like it's so appropriate. So, could you tell us a little bit more about that book?
Sure. I've given a lot of speeches and over the years, and I kept thinking and did a lot of work with companies over the years. And as I would give, 1 hour speeches to 1 day
Yeah.
training programs to 3 day intense training programs, it was like, I've done this like 1,000 times and I've got this all in my head and I'm not putting it down on paper. So I decided that I kind of divvied the book up into thirds. So the first third is autobiographical. There's this curiosity that people have about how did you get to where you are?
Hmm.
What's been your journey? And a lot of 83% of people with disabilities acquired their disability after birth, and I'm one of those 17 percenters who started my life with a disability. So I was born without arms or legs, and my mom died when I was very young after my little sister was born, and I have an older sister. So my dad at 32 was raising three of us kids. So
Wow.
I told that whole story, and then my career, as you just kindly described it, it's either that I can't hold a job or I'm anxious to take on new challenges. And I like to master things. I mean, first of all, I'm scared to death when I start a job, and then a couple of years into it, I think I got it now. I think I got this. And then I start thinking, well, what else might I be able to do and contribute to the disability rights movement? So that's been the progression of my life, and it's just been incredible, from civil rights and employment, from my law background to education and into healthcare areas, and now into physical activity and sports here at Lakeshore. We have 3,700 members who belong within a 50-mile radius, and they come here to get healthy.
Hmm.
And they make 12,000 visits to our facility a month. A month.
Wow. Wow,
So
that's incredible. Yeah.
it's a going concern. And then we added on about 20 years ago a component for high performance athletes. and developed a relationship with the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, and really have taken that to now started with wheelchair rugby, and we're the home of the national team, Team USA Wheelchair Rugby. And last year we added boccia, United States.
Wow.
And this year we added para powerlifting to go along with all of our 3,700 members and everything going on here. So it's just an incredible place. And community health that we do all over the United States remotely and through the power of electronics. We can educate people anywhere they are in their home about how to stay healthy, eat right, work out, move, do lots of things. But I have just enjoyed an incredible life. I was, as I mentioned, born without arms or legs, off at the elbows and the knees, off above the elbows. So I have mechanical elbows, and
Hmm.
still got the old school clamps. So
Hey, I worked at Hosmer. I helped make some of those hooks. Yeah,
there
the
you
engineer
go.
there.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, that's
They
right.
probably have your name on them, you know?
Yeah, no, no, no. Danny Wong actually made all those. He
Wow.
each one of those tines are handcrafted to the other one, but that's a trivia question. Yeah.
Wow, wow. Well, people, I even got prosthetic shamed on an elevator at a Disability In conference.
Wow.
And this woman got on and she had an artificial arm, a new artificial arm, black, hot,
Right.
myoelectric,
Mm-hmm.
articulating fingers, she was just
Yeah.
all tricked out. And she
Yeah.
looks at me and she goes, wow, she goes, you're not keeping up, man. You're not keeping.
Oh,
I was
how
just
about
like,
that?
I am keeping up. I understand what is possible, and I have even been tested for myoelectric arms.
Hmm.
But I said I can function very well right now with this, and I'm working all the time. So I don't have
Right.
3 months or 6 months to kind of figure out
You
how to
have
grasp this
time. Yeah.
pen and how to type on a
Right.
computer. And I'm doing it my way. Everybody has their way of doing it. Don't judge. Don't.
Dr. Childers, who worked with Dr. Betts,
Oh
said
yes.
it's not high or low tech, it's appropriate tech. So it's what's appropriate for you. So
Dudley,
yeah,
right?
yeah, Dudley Childers,
Oh my
exactly.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my
Hmm.
gosh. We have
He was a
many
big
friends.
proponent of ISPO. Yeah, yeah.
It's
So you,
great. Well,
so
it's been a great life with a
I,
disability, with amputations and prosthetics.
I think what's interesting is looking at knowledge gaps, right? Where people are and where they need to be. And I think it sounds like you were able to kind of fill those. Maybe we could speak to maybe how you helped people with that understanding. And that's kind of a tough one, right? When you say even the person you just mentioned, she's speaking from the high or low tech versus what's appropriate for you. But you have to kind of be a teacher in terms of transformation, in terms of perception, just like what you did with your book. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you helped people with that? Maybe metanoia, like trying to know a greater understanding from the outside in of what they're looking at to help them see a little bit better. Maybe there's something they haven't picked up on. Is that something you'd ever thought of? Yeah.
Well, I have thought of it. I haven't probably dwelled on it a lot, but I think I put it into my perspective. And that is that everybody makes choices. And as long as they are informed about what the options are that are in front of them, they have the right to make any choice that they wish to make. And who am I or anybody else to second guess what their ultimate choice is? And yes, I think prosthetists who inform their patients or their customers of what is possible and what is available in the commercial market, and what will insurance cover, and all of who's going to pay for all of this stuff. Um, they play a very, very powerful role in influencing people. But even with all of that and the influence that I've been told about, this is what you could have, this is what you could do, learning about articulating hands and fingers. And then even at RIC, which is now Ability,
Yeah. Shirley Ryan,
Shirley
ability.
Ryan
Yeah.
Center, and I
Wow.
love
Yeah.
Shirley and her husband, Pat,
Yeah.
where they pioneered the heat sensitive, or being able to sense with a prosthetic whether something is hot or
Hmm.
cold, with
Yeah.
brainwave technology. And just remarkable, remarkable research going on. A lot of it driven by space and by DoD, and for veterans, and really good investments, which I think are tremendous. And a lot of us, I think, in my age span, and I'm now in my mid 70s, A lot of us were essentially told early on, you want to look like you don't have a disability, and you want to walk like you don't
Right.
have a disability, and you want to,
Right.
and cosmesis is really important, and you kind of
Right.
cover it up. And it's like,
Cover it up.
now, I'd say in the last 25 years, people have said, hey, I'm taking off the padding on my prostheses, my pipes are showing, which I
Yeah.
have done. There's nothing to hide here. I don't, and when I take off my arms at night and set them on the bench, I look at them and go like, gosh, they look like a lot of metal and
Right.
fiber,
They're
fiber.
disembodied. Yeah. Yeah.
Very different than when I've got them on. They look so natural to me. This is like what people look at in their hands. So I think the
Mhm.
bottom line is, Jerry, that it's really informed consent and respect for choices that people make in their lives. And as long as people are well informed, customers, patients, however you want to describe people who use prostheses and orthotics, it's like it's their choice, it's their life. They can do whatever they want to, and it
Yeah.
can do as much
Mhm.
or as little as they want to. Obviously, we encourage people to move along and keep up. And I think when I retire someday at 120, I, I will
Yeah.
have the time to learn how to operate myoelectric arms and drink my glass of wine out of a stem glass. But until then, I'm going to use a
Yeah.
straight-sided glass, and I'll be fine.
Right. You're doing what you need to do. Now,
Exactly.
you used a term, John, that's very interesting. So investment, and people think of investment that has a connotation semiotically, but we can talk about investment actually being a gamble. Of all the things that they could use resources for, how do you tell them their gamble with people with disability, people with other abilities, right? How do you convince them that this is worth the gamble for them to invest in?
That's
How do you do that?
that's wonderful. I always like people who say that's a great question. I think they're buying time when they say that, but I honestly mean that's a great. I've never been asked that question before,
Oh, okay. Sorry. I don't need to.
no, I really appreciate it. I think there's so much that goes into how we view ourselves
Hmm.
and function, our personal function and our independence, as much independence as we can possibly have. And if prosthetics continue to improve independent living and functional independence, um, there should be a huge payoff for people who have that, because it adds to the dignity of the individual, and it also adds to the fact that we think we rightfully belong in society. If we're constantly having to ask people to help us do stuff, we have to really work harder at keeping our head on straight about the equality of the relationship between
Right.
person X and me, especially if I need that person to help me with something so fundamental as feeding me or getting me a glass or more.
Right.
It's about independence and functionality. So the investment to me is well worth it. Uh,
Yeah.
and you're going to have fully participating people in society, and that means jobs and independence and getting out of their homes and
Exactly.
living a good life. So
Yeah.
that's the
And
way
you
I would.
mentioned something else that's kind of interesting for me as a prosthetist, and also I'm an engineer, is that it's not the prosthesis, it's the person wearing them, it's the person using them. And when we invest in that, when we help people, we help them become more themselves. I think what's
True.
interesting, and one patient told me this one time. He said, "Listen, Jerry, I'm not a saint because I lost my arms. I'm still the same guy I was. Just help me be that guy." And he said, I'm a good guy. I'm a bad guy." But to help people be themselves, more themselves, I think is really kind of interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
That's really good. That's really
Mhm.
good. It's the right
Yeah.
way. It's the right way to say it. And it places the locus of control on us.
Oh, yeah.
And that's really the value. I mean, who doesn't want to have independence and then
Mhm.
have the dignity that they deserve to make choices in their lives? I want to go here and I don't want to go there.
Yeah. And in your book, you mention the one of the things for the book is that you develop the concrete strategies to help people move forward. What do you think are your go-to strategies to kind of build confidence and provide that scaffolding to kind of move forward for groups to really implement these changes you advocate for?
I think fundamentally it is that I've always felt and thank my dad for that is and for this and that is that I rightfully belong wherever I want to be.
Exactly. Wow, how powerful is that?
And
Yeah.
that is everything. That is
Yeah.
everything. If I choose to go to law school, which I did, if I choose to try out for a baseball team and thought I was going to be a next to Hank Aaron in the outfield, it's like, and I fail, that's the way life is. But it's my choice. It's my choice to take on something that other people may think is such a ridiculous choice. But and my dad let me do that. He never popped my balloon when he was playing catch with me at the age of 10 in our front yard in Bismarck, North Dakota, which
Yeah.
only has two seasons,
Yeah.
winter and the 4th of July. But
Right. Road
so
work. Yeah. Right.
and he would play catch with me because he said, "What do you want to be?" I'm like, I want to be playing next to Hank Aaron in the outfield for the Milwaukee Braves, then the Atlanta Braves." And he was just
Mhm.
like, "Let's go for it." And
That's so cool.
it was
Yeah.
like kids will take you out. They will tell you, I'm going to pick you last, or you're not going to play on this team. You're going to be, it's like painful, but it was like, that was reality. I mean, that's merit based. I really should not be a baseball player. I should do what I'm trying to do now. And that is, lead organizations, raise money, advance disability rights and equality, do things like that.
I mean, people talk about people being brave, and I think it does require a certain amount of bravery. But I think we don't think about all the people that just around us say, ah, I mean, you could do this. You got this. It's just their calm support, and it's nothing trying to take things to a new level, but it allows us to know that it's normalized, right? This is just something people do, and this is something you're going to do, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. I've got to say, you as a prosthetist have such an impact, but the best ones I know always offer suggestions to us folks with amputations and disabilities. You would say, have you ever thought about, or I know somebody that figured
Right.
out how to get on a tractor or get on a horse or
Right.
bale hay or, be a lawyer, do whatever it is. And it's just offering suggestions, but always giving us the dignity of making that final decision, not telling us what to do. And that's kind of like I started with my family, my dad, my older sister, my younger sister. And then as I felt so good about myself, at times probably too good, and I had
Yeah.
got a little too jacked up there, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure.
Uh,
We were all young ones.
yeah, exactly. Like I could do that. I could do that. No, I can't do that. But there's a powerful role that of support and nurturing and educating us about what is possible because sometimes we don't even know what equipment's out there, what technology's out there,
Mhm.
what might benefit us in our everyday lives. And so there's a powerful role for prosthetists and orthotics folks that really is meaningful.
I think it's really learning to respect someone's agency and their own self-leadership and bolstering that if I can. Then I can help them make better decisions. But in the end, it's their decisions for their life or how they want to lead it. And it carries over into the people we deal with, even probably at your foundation, right? You think about the people you work with, right? So they draw inspiration from you, but you can probably help them with their own leadership. Yeah.
Right. And all they have to do is observe. Many times it's just observing. And I observe other people here, and there are some amputees who work here. And I stopped this guy and said, okay, you took your padding off the lower part of your leg and you're just showing your pipes. And he said, I don't need to lug that stuff around. And I said, well, the reason I wear it is because I get holes in my pants every time I bang into something with my prosthesis. So I've been keeping that on. He goes, I don't get holes in my pants from taking that padding off. And in fact, it's a message to the world that I like who I am, just the way I am. I was like, man, you have influenced me greatly. I tell him that he never said you should do this. He just said this is what it does for me. And then I
Yeah.
can make that choice. So I did, and it's great.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, what would you say, what piece of advice would you say when you're developing people, whether they're clinicians or, let's face it, it's probably with patients as well. When you're developing their leadership, is there anything that you tend to follow, any sort of heuristic or any sort of like rule of thumb? What do you try to like make people understand more about themselves, or what would you say is the John Kemp advice? Yeah.
Um, Believe in yourself. Uh, Push yourself as far as you can, but acknowledge when you can't do something, and
Um,
move to something that you can do.
wow.
There are some things that I can't do. I never learned to ride a bike ever. It was just I was too busy trying to grab onto the handlebars and
Mhm.
looking to make sure my feet were still on the pedals, and I never could get any speed up, and I never got that. And I always thought, I can live a life without ever having to ride a bike. That's perfectly fine because when I'm 16, I'll be able to, if my dad will give me the car, I'll be able to drive,
I'll be able to drive.
and and I'm sure and I got driver's ed, and I'm sure the instructor was, screaming into his hat or something, most of the time, as to like, oh my God, can this guy drive a car? And easily. I drive just as well or as poorly as anybody else. But it was like this bicycling. So what, important to me, it's like it's about I got to get from here to there. And how am I going to get from here to there? So I guess my rule of thumb is try if you think you can do it, but don't I never like getting forced into trying something.
Right. Yeah.
If I was given enough information about something and I saw somebody like me doing it, great. But it would be like, try it. I,
Yeah.
I
Try it.
will, I will decide to try it. I'm not gonna take somebody else's simple advice and just say you have to try it. No, I don't have to try it, but I might want to try it. So it's more about believing in myself and then deciding this is important to me, this is not important to me.
So just jump into the middle of it.
Do
Yeah.
it. Do what you can. And
Is
then
there a way that carries over to the groups you lead? Do you try to help them understand that a little bit better to, just give it a shot, give it your best? I heard an expression, let her rip, tater chip, just give it what you got. Yeah.
I've never used myself as an example in my leadership. It's more probably what they're looking at and seeing and observing. And I think that's what we do with all of the people that are in leadership positions. We sort of look at them and either we model something about them or we say, I don't need to do that. I've got my own style and I'm going to do it this way. But I give people a lot of latitude. And I guess I think growing up with my disability, one of my management styles is to essentially delegate a lot of authority to a lot of very smart people who are all grown up and let them make their mistakes once and recover from it and guide them a little bit, but pat them on the back, encourage them, go for it, try a different way. You dream it up, I'm not
Right.
going to tell you how to do your job, but the outcome has to be here. So I think if anything, my disability has taught me there are many ways to get to the goal. It is up to us and to my leadership team and the staff here to get to their goals.
It sounds like the underlying theme is perseverance, right? And there are different faces to the mountain, but you just got to keep climbing, right?
That's true. That
Yeah.
is very true.
Well, thanks so much for this opportunity. It's been so great to spend some time with you.
Thank you.
Um, and if anyone wanted to get involved with the with your foundation, how would they contact the Lakeshore Foundation or you?
Certainly. We're Lakeshore Foundation. We're www.lakeshore.org, and you can find us on the web for certain. I'm
Great.
John Kemp, and you can Google me. And if you get to the front desk, just say, I want to speak to John. There are only about five of us, and they'll find me.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much again for your time. And it's just been great to speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.